Hello guys, Vanakkam and welcome. Actually, one of the main reasons why I had started my own YouTube channel is not only to share my insights and thoughts about the game, but also I wanted to mention as many names as possible whom I know personally since childhood. Of course, Indians, I mean, whom I know since childhood and who were there with me at my tough times and who had great impact in my chess career and for what I am till now. So today we will see the games of Mr. Ratnakaran, the game which impressed me a lot. I guess almost all the Indians, not only Indians, most of the players throughout the world must be aware of Ratnakaran. Sometimes he is often dubbed as Indian tall or even Indian Neshmatino. He is someone who always plays for initiative. For him, just opponent's king is what matters the most than any material. He just plays for mate and he just goes he can when playing game he sees only the opponent's king and just all his forces rushes towards opponent's king. So we'll just see a few games or critical moments in Ratnakaran's games. So this game was played in Goa Open 2019 against Mechedlishvili, who is a very strong and a very solid grandmaster from Georgia. So in this game he was white and Ratnakaran was black. So in this game now he played Bishop G5. It's quite a common move, yeah, quite a normal move. He's just pinning the knight and threatening CD5 and some such stuffs. So Ratnakaran played Bishop B4. He is also pinning the knight, and now White played CD5. So maybe I would suggest you to pause the video for some time and try to guess the directions what Ratnakaran would have played in the game. Yeah. So he played knight d5, knight takes pawn, just sacrificing the queen. White played, of course, white graciously captured the queen, and black played knight c3. So Ratnakaran's point is that white cannot recapture the knight because, okay, for example, if bc3, bishop c3, and the king has no escape square because of pawns or restricting the king. So white has to give up the queen and you take back the bishop and you remain a pawn up. So black cannot recapture. So white cannot recapture. So white played queen b3. Quite a logical move, just keeping an eye on the bishop. And black played knight e2. Of course, if king e2, there is knight d4, forking the king and the queen. So white cannot take the knight. White has to play king d1. And now Ratnakaran played knight e d4, attacking the queen again. So queen has to move somewhere. So white chose queen e3. If queen d5, then black has bishop e6, and queen is trapped in center of the board. Queen has no squares. All the black's minor pieces are controlling the key squares for the queen. So here in this position, white played queen e3, and I would again suggest you to pause the video and guess the directions. What would you play if you are black in this position? Yeah. So in this game, Ratnakaran continued with bishop e6. Actually, I was watching the game live, sitting from my home, and I was watching the game live online, and I was surprised by seeing all these moves. If you just come few moves back, first Ratnakaran sacrificed the queen for no obvious compensation, just that white king in the center. But if you look first from material wise, black has just one minor piece and couple of pawns. So one minor piece and couple of pawns for a queen, and now he's not even recapturing the piece. Okay, he cannot take with the knight because d4 knight is hanging. So if he wanted to capture, he can capture the king, but instead of capturing the bishop, he plays bishop e6. So he's just trying to bring the rook to the game so that um, king in the d1 square. So king falls straight into the opponent's rook's files. So bishop e6, and I was surprised to see these kinds of moves. So when I was watching live, so white played bishop g5, and I should also mention that white is not only being a very strong 2600 GM, but he is also a very solid grandmaster. It is not easy to beat such a grandmaster. He is very solid. So if bishop c7, black has rook c8, and where will the bishop go? Let's say bishop f4, then black just castles. It's surprising, yeah. You are sacrificing the queen, and you are not showing any direct ways or any concrete threats to force mates. So black will most likely continue with rook of d8. So keeping the eyes on both the files. If you see, king is stuck on d1. Bishop is controlling the e1 square. Knight on d4 is controlling the e2 as well as c2 square. And once rook comes here, both the rooks are controlling c and d file. And all the minor pieces are perfectly placed, especially once the rook joins the party. And if you look at the white's pieces, both the rooks are sleeping. They're yet to come to the game. This knight is cornered on h4, and these two bishops, they're not doing anything significant or to defend the white's king. I'm sure Ratnakaran would have seen till here when sacrificing the queen, which was move number 8. So on move number 8, he sacrificed the queen by playing knight d5, and we are now at move number 14. It's only 6 moves, so I'm sure he must have seen till here. And of course there is no mate, it's so obvious, but black has very strong threats down the d file and c file, and white's king is stuck in the center. I'm sure he must have seen till here, and he would have thought, okay, I'm having some attack, let's just keep the attack going. So to see a move like bishop e6 is very difficult, in a practical game. That too when a strong 2600 GM is sitting in front of you. To play a move like this it kind of shows Mr. Ratnakaran's imaginative skills. So bishop e6, white played bishop g5, and Ratnakaran played h6. He's attacking the bishop. And in general, one more thing, when I study Michael Toll's games or Neshmudinov games or any attackers, Alikain, let it be any attacker, I in general don't check the engine's evaluation, because sometimes engine, it kind of shows that your attack is not powerful. The way Toll, Neshmudinov, all those guys, the way in certain games they might discourage the way how those great attackers played. So, but in practical terms, it's very difficult to refute such imaginative and bold and attacking play. So in general, I don't check with engine. I don't. It's my habit to not to learn the truth about the position. I don't care if white wins or black wins. I just admire their creativity. So these kinds of things have always helped me to play. Once in a while, helped me to play such bold chess. So I would also suggest the audience to also not cross-check with computer the objectivity of the sacrifice. Just enjoy the beauty, and it's also important to realize that we are playing against humans. We are not playing correspondence chains, or we are not playing against computers. So when playing against humans, lots of emotions goes through in humans' mind. So it's always good to study these games and play by yourself in your own tournament games. So in this game h6, white played bishop f6, so g f6. Basically, if you go bishop f4, I think black will long castle to keep an eye, as well as black can also play g5, attacking both the minor pieces. So I don't know what white had in his mind, so he just thought he will double the black's pawns. and queen can sometimes, can penetrate through black's camp. I think this is what Mechelishvili had in his mind, strong Georgian grandmaster. So in this game, and he continued with king c1. He's just moving the king away from the rook's path. So Ratnakaran long castled, and white played bishop h3, just keeping an eye on the diagonal as well as keeping an eye on the f5 pawn. So here I think Ratnakaran kind of made a small inaccuracy. I think he underestimated white's defensive possibilities. He played bishop c5, which is a kind of a dubious move, giving some hope for white. And again, I would suggest you guys to pause the video and how will you play with white. Yeah, so white saw that this bishop is unprotected and he made use of his chance by taking on f5. Knight f5, because knight f5 is not possible because of queen c5, bishop on c5 is hanging. I think probably black missed this. It would have been better to follow up with king b8, just move the king away from the diagonal. Or if you wanted to create threats right away, you can also play knight e5, so that you are creating a knight d3 or knight c4, any knight jumps. So this would have been preferable. Bishop c5 is a dubious, and white wisely captured the pawn. He grabbed his chances. So knight f5, queen c5, knight h4, gh4, and if you see, the black's initiative has evaporated. There is no more attack on white's king. White's king is safe. Like once he can go anywhere, his king is safe, and black's attack has evaporated a lot compared to if you see 2-3 moves ago. So it's white who is clearly winning here, because you have, for queen, black has just knight and bishop compensation, and with no direct or immediate threats against white's king or white's pieces. So white is clearly winning here, and it's nice to see how a strong GM can even lose in these kinds of positions. So black played, Ratnakar played rook d4, of course threatening rook c4. So white played b3, just keeping the pawns on the light squares so that he can restrict black's light square bishop. So b3, black continued with rook h d8. White played rook b1. Basically, white wanted to place his king safer on the a1 square, and black continued with bishop g4. White played king b2. So I'll just quickly go through the game. Of course, white is still winning here, but it's nice to see how Ratnakaran kept posing small threats until the end of the game. So knight b4, of course, you are threatening a knight d3 check, forking the queen and king. So, and also there is also threat like rook d2 and capture on a2. So white played king a1, just moving the king away from the knight as well as any annoying checks. Black played b6, queen c3, c5. So black is trying to play energetically, and white is deprived of any chances for counterplay. So white played a3, trying to kick the knight away. So knight d5, queen c1, and he played h5. Black is a queen down, and he's coolly playing a move like h5. I think if time permits, if he might even play f5, f4, just improving black's position. And it is white who does not have any concrete chances. Like, how is white going to play? If you switch on the engine, it will obviously show plus minus 1, 2, plus minus 3 or something. But when playing a practical game, it's not all easy to come up with some idea. Black always has some threats or some traps in his sleeve. For example, if you wanted to play something rook b2, for example, you are also kind of weakening your first rank. Rook is, only rook is controlling the first rank. Once if white plays rook b2, I can probably move a knight so that I can threat rook d1 and such things. So it's not at all easy, especially when clock is ticking. So white played rook g1, black played rook d3. Probably rook c3 is one of his ideas. and probably even e3 could be one of his ideas. So white played queen c4, rook d4, queen c1. So black is just kind of repeating. And I also know Ratnakaran very well. He also plays very fast. So it's difficult to difficult to keep the pace going with Ratnakar. He plays very fast and he sees tactics in a bullet speed, in a lightning speed. So white played b4. Probably he wanted to open up the position. Black played knight c3. I think white probably missed knight c3 because if you play rook b2, again as I said earlier, you are weakening the first rank. Black has rook d1 and it's a pin. Black will win huge material. And there is also threat of not only knight b1, black also has knight e2, forking queen and the rook. I think probably white missed this, I'm not sure. So knight c3, queen b2, knight b1, queen rook b1, and rook f3. So if you see the material, now white has, black has gained some material. Previously black had only knight and bishop, two minor piece for a queen. Now black has rook and bishop for the queen. And of course, the point of rook f3 is not only to defend f6 pawn or pressurize f2 pawn, but also black wants to play rook d3 and pressurize a3 pawn. So white played bc5, black played rook d3, and yeah, if you see, black slowly won the game. I'm just going through the game very fast. So check here, he took the pawn and now black is clearly winning because for queen, black has rook and bishop and he has 3 pawns. And white's king is still weak. White's king is not safe as yet. So the most important factor to see is white's king is not safe. So black soon won the game. Yeah, black king is weak and now there's a back rank threat, checkmate. And if white plays king of 1, black has bb5 check, rook is defending the bishop, and the king has to come back, you just give a mate. So it's a beautiful game. This game had a deep and a strong impact in me. I learned that if you see, white's rating is in this game, white's rating is 2609 and Ratnakaran's rating is 2338. So on paper, it is white who is higher rated and black is down by nearly 250 points or 300 points on rating. So what I learned is that it doesn't matter who we play, higher rated, lower rated. It's best to stick to your style because sometimes against lower rated or even higher rated, we might hesitate to play such daring chess because we feel that, especially I have felt many times that my opponents who though they are rated higher, they might defend well. So sometimes I used to hesitate to play such bold chess, but after seeing these kinds of games, it always motivated me and gave me lots of energy to play such kinds of chess. So this is one game which impressed me a lot, especially when I was watching the game live. I was like, wow, Ratnakaran is very imaginative and very bold play. So let's go to next game. Yeah. So this game was played in 2010. White was Mr. GB Joshi, who had a rating of 2272 when this game was played. It was played in Goregaon in 2010. So black was of course Ratnakaran. So in this game, it looks like a typical French. Yeah, it's a French ND2 variation. So white played bishop e3 in this position. So black of course plays short castles, and now white played rook c1. So if you are black, how will you continue? You can maybe try to pass the video. Okay, it's quite obvious, yeah. Since black is Ratnakaran, I think it's probably easy to guess Ratnakaran's move. But anyway, you can still try to guess what Ratnakaran or how he would have continued the game. Yeah. So logically, I mean in Ratnakaran's words, logically black is opening up the position, and he plays now knight d e5. Okay, one can argue, typical French players, those who play French with black, they know that this kinds of sacrifice is quite logical and quite possible. But in this particular position, I don't think this is exactly right. If I'm talking objectively, but okay, let's not talk about the truth about the positions. We'll just enjoy the game. So white played de5. Of course, it's a pin. So black played d4. Bishop has no squares other than bishop d2, and black took the pawn knight e5. So what do we have? Okay, white played bb4, queen b4. Yeah. So what do we have for a piece? Black has just two pawns for a piece in terms of material. But in terms of Ratnakaran's eyes, white is a piece up, fine, I don't care. But look at the white's pieces. Rook is on h1, is said to come to the game. Knight on g1. Okay, it's defending the f3 square, so I wouldn't call it bad. And bishop on f1 is still yet to join the game. So whereas for black, knight is near white's king. Black queen can come anytime to focus on the king if king comes to g3, and rook is of course doing a good job. This is what Ratnakaran saw, and he just played instantly. So white played king g3, logically trying to run away from the diagonal. And now black played knight c6. He's just defending the pawn, as well as he is creating a threat of queen d6 check. And he's also planning to play e5 e4, e5 e4, giving life to the c8 bishop. So all these factors, actually white should have played king h2, queen d6 check. I mean, if queen d6 check, white has g3, and white king is safe. But practically after playing e5, one of my threat is to play bishop g4. I can also play e4, and too many things are there. Of course, if you check with engine, engine will always say, or engine might say plus minus 1 2 whatever the evaluation. Okay, I did not check much with engine, because as I said, I don't like to spoil the beauty of such creative chess. So I did not check much. So we are talking mainly about the psychological aspects when you play such kind of daring chess. So white probably was too much worried about all these things. So he played rook c6. He is giving up the exchange, and now I think white miscalculated something. He played queen d4, which is a blunder, because queen d4, knight d4, and rook f1. I think he missed that bishop on f1 is hanging. Probably he assumed that knight is on h3 or e2, defending the bishop. Okay, so such hallucinations can always happen to any player, so it's fine. So yeah, white soon went astray once black started to play such daring chess. So this could be a strong psychological value. When you sacrifice pieces, even your opponent might have certain blocks in his mind, how to keep the game going. More than the one who is sacrificing the piece, according to me, the one who accepts the piece sacrifice will always have certain tensions, like how to keep the game going. I should not get mated. All these things. So that's it about this game. So I'll just do a quick recap. In this position, black castled. White played rook c1, logical move, of course. And now Ratnakaran started his fireworks, piece sacrifice on e5. And after sacrificing a piece, he's not. There's no direct mate, of course. And now he calmly plays knight c6, and to play e5, e5 e4 or such things. So white was probably too much worried, and he gave rook c6, and he lost the game. So these are the strong effects, especially when you play against Mr. Ratnakaran. Okay, let's go to the next game. When I was choosing Ratnakaran's games, what all games to select, I was quickly going through the game, And if you see, right now we are in 13th move. White just played bishop h2. If you see, the position is very very normal, yeah, very very like completely balanced. So what would you expect to continue? Like if I am black, I'll just play queen d7, rook, I don't know which rook, any rook to e8, and I'll try to play on light squares because white does not have a light square bishop, he has only dark square bishop. So I'll play either queen f5 or maybe rook e6, rook e8, or knight f5, knight c4, or yeah, knight e7, knight f5. So many things are there. Probably I would have continued like that, trying to exploit white's light square weakness and try to play solid chess, but not when Mr. Ratnakaran is black. So in this position, so right now we are in move number 13. Just see how the position changes within 5 moves. So black plays f5. So white logically plays knight d2, and black plays f4. So black is basically restricting the h2 bishop, and also of course f3 there is always a possibility if there is no knight on d2. So white played knight f3 logically. White logically plays knight f3 here, trying to block the pawn by placing the knight here. And now Ratnakaran keeps playing in the same file. I don't know what he saw. He plays rook f6. I still wonder. I don't understand the point. Of course, one thing is he's pretending such checks. But had it been me, maybe I would have played again queen d7, rook c8, probably. But okay, he plays rook f6, and Ratnakaran has a point. His point is like if white played rook of e1, and now he plays knight ce7. So I think probably this was his point, black's point. Basically, he wanted to play knight f5, knight h4 to eliminate or to trade the f3 knight, so that once this knight gets traded or exchanged, then black is free to play f3. I think this was his point. Knight f5, knight h4, and sometimes rook g6 can also come. So seeing all these things, white I think kind of got panicked and he played g4. So when you're analyzing this game, this kind of move might look illogical, because what is g4? Yeah, you are weakening the king, and after fg3, white cannot take back. Of course, your h2 and f3 becomes uncoordinated pawns. So white has to play fg3, and bishop is stuck on h2. And whenever white plays g4 to give life to the bishop, then h4, f4, the squares surrounding the pawns are becoming too weak. So when going through the game, or when you study the game, you might think, what is white doing here? What is g4? And white is also very strong player. He is Mr. Prasenjit Datta, rated 2282, and I forgot to mention the year. I think this game was played in 2011 in Paraswanath. So he's also a very solid player. So when going through the game, I was surprised. Why did he play g4? Why to voluntarily weaken the king? But of course, I know black is Ratnakaran, who plays very fast. Especially opening, middle game, end game does not matter. He plays very fast, and he plays very confidently. He's very very confident in his approach. All these things. So all these psychological factors must have created some impression on an opponent, some panic impression. So he played g4, which is of course not the best move, not the right move as well. So black logically took fg, queen d7. This pawn is weak. I mean, black is attacking right away, and white cannot play g4 also. As I said, the squares becomes very weak. So white played queen g2, and black plays rook f8. So now if you look here, rook f6, and if you look now, this makes it's kind of related, yeah. Somehow Ratnakaran relates whatever move he plays. Here rook f6, this move kind of looks unlikely, because what these rooks doing on f file, especially when there's a black pawn on f4, it's a semi-open file. It's not even semi-open file. There is no file at all. But if you just see after few moves how the game progressed, yeah. If you see now suddenly the move which was played in 15th move rook f6 made a lot of sense because black immediately got rook a effect, doubling the rooks on the open file. So this is under attack. So white, and I think black is clearly better here. All kind of things are always there. Sorry. Yeah, knight f5, nd6, ne4, all these things are always there. So white played knight e5, de5, and this black is just clearly winning. Black has many ways to win. Rook f2 is also one of the way. Take here, yeah. And this bishop is dead for most of the game. King g1. I mean, for example, then black can always play something like queen e6 to stop the pawn rolling forward. And black can always play some c5, d4, or knight f5 to here. Black can always create more chances because the bishop is out of the game. So I like the way how Ratnakaran managed to create something out of nothing. I mean, in the initial position, the position is very calm, fairly balanced, and in now Ratnakaran unleashed f5, f4, creating some dynamics on the board and off the board. Like it looks as if he's threatening something. He plays fast with such energetic chess. White probably got panicked and played g4, and it backfired. So this kind of I like the plan of f5, f4 to restrict the bishop. These things, when I was guessing this game, it did not come instantly to my mind. As I said, I was focusing only on developing the pieces. But f5, f4 was a very nice idea. Probably I might use in some of the games as well. So that's it about this game. Now let's look at the next one. Yeah. Wow. This is one of my favorite games, and white was strong grandmaster Sergei Okarov, rated 2501, and black was Ratnakaran. This game was played in Bhubaneswar Open 2010. So I was like, as always, I was watching the game live. I think I was watching the game. I don't remember if I played the tournament there, but I'm very sure I watched the game live, either online or in the real, like with face to face. I was watching. I don't recollect. So white played again. This is a French. Ratnakaran mostly plays French as black. So in this game, white played bishop g5. So quite a normal move. Maybe he wants to play bishop h6, or I don't exactly see the point, but okay, maybe most likely I think he wanted to play bishop g6, or also to control knight jumping to f4. Okay, anyway, so in this position, just assume if you are black, how would you continue from here? You can just pause the video and try to think how will you continue. Okay, so black played knight d4. Black could have played something like queen g7 to play h6, g5, such things. Okay, black is Ratnakaran. He goes for all out. Knight d4. Knight d4 is forced. Bishop h2 check. King f1 means there is knight g3. It's a checkmate. So king has to go to h1. Rook f2. Again, kind of creating such threats. Queen is here. Some threats. So white played knight d5. White for his turn, he's also trying to open up the position. I mean, if e d5, there is rook e8 check, and queen is going. At least white's rook is coming to the game for some counter chances. So knight e5. So black played queen g3, keeping an eye on bishop as well as the pawn. So white played knight e3. I think, okay, now it's black to play. How will you continue the game? How to keep the attack going? You can pause the video and try to guess the moves. Yeah, so when playing knight d5, I think white saw till here and probably stopped his calculation, assuming that the knight is somewhat near white's king and is defending. and he's also planning to play queen g4, exchanging black's queen. For example, if queen g5, then king h2, I think, and queen g4, such things are coming, or maybe that queen g4. I think king h2 is what white would have wanted to play. So probably this was his calculation, I think, when playing a knight d5 to Mustago. So he kind of felt his pieces are kind of defending the king side. And now black played queen h3. When I was watching this game, I was like, wow, queen h3, seriously? If gh3 is a mate, by the way, rook is different. I mean, okay, I'll just play the moves. If gh3, rook is defending the bishop, and knight g3, and it's a mate. King is stuck. Queen h3 is one of the beautiful moves I have seen off late. I mean, in the modern era. Of course, we have seen such things in Murphy's games, Queen h3 and such things. It's nice to play such move, especially against a grandmaster, that too in a classical game. So threat is knight g3 mate. So white played bishop f4, and black played rook g2, another sacrifice, and white played bishop f5, gf5, knight g2, bishop g3 check, and it's over. There are too many pieces near the white's king. White has only one knight, and such things are always there. Too many mates, and white resigned. It's a quick, small miniature game played by Ratnakaran, that too against a grandmaster with black pieces. It all started with here. I don't know till what he saw, but I'm sure he must have felt that black has enough dynamics to create counter attack on the white's king. Black has queen, rook, bishop, and knight. Black has 4 attackers, and white has this bishop. You can say as one defender, but I don't see other proper defenders. So maybe white could have played rook e3, so that if knight g3 can try to give. But okay, of course, in a practical game, it's difficult to play with white, difficult to defend, especially when all the pieces are eyeing white's king. So this is one of my all-time favorite games of Ratnakaran. Not only Ratnakaran in general, in the whole chess games I have seen, this is one of my favorite games, mainly because of this small move, queen h3. It kind of had a deep impact in me, a strong impact. So that's it about this game. I'll go to the next game. Yeah. In this game, of course, I was watching this game also live, but not from the tournament hall. I was watching the game live from my home, watching online. So generally, I watch all the games online. Let it be Indian tournaments or any top level events. I try to watch as many games as possible, and try to I either analyze the game, or I try to see the opening trend. What openings these guys are playing, and all those things. I just follow things. So this game was played in National B. White was Ratnakaran, and black was one of my good friend SP Sethuraman. So he even recently wrote a book on Sicilian, which is also quite a good book. I would also suggest you guys to go through that book. So in this position, black was Sethuraman, and this was the last game of national in the tournament. Whoever wins, I think that's the case. This was played in 2013. Whoever wins the game will qualify for National A. So it's a huge thing at stake for both the players. So in this game, in this position, black played queen c7, quite a logical move. And if you see, the position is fairly balanced. Yeah, position is completely equal. No dynamics, not yet actually. No dynamics is going on as yet. However, white is Ratnakaran. So if you are white, how will you continue the game? You can try to pause the video and try to guess how Ratnakaran would have played, how he would have continued. Yeah, so he played rook d1. It looks like a normal move. Yeah, rook was doing nothing on f1. He just come to a d1 just to capture the open file. And black plays knight a5. Probably he's just restricting the c2 bishop, keeping eye on these things. Or he even wanted to play queen c4. And now white played rook d5. So black logically plays b6, trying to defend the knight. And now white played rook f5. Boom. So if we just see, if we just come 3 moves ago, rook was doing nothing on f1. There was no pawn on f2, yeah. Else he would have played direct rook f5. Since there was no pawn on f2, this rook from f1 took a short trip, rook d1, d5 and f5, just to take the bishop and to weaken the black's structure near the king. So gf5 and knight g5. Actually, white could have played knight g3, attacking the pawn. So e6 is very logical. And now knight h5, and creating some pressure towards black's king. Knight is on h5 and black king on g8 is generally a good thing for white. Something will always happen. And slowly I can always play such chess. I can always capture the bishop. Some pressure is going on. This kind of chess would have been more logical. Of course, Ratnakar played even more creatively, but I don't know what he missed. Okay, we'll just see the game. Knight g5. So queen h5 looks like a fairly normal plan for white. So black played h6, and now white played queen h5, sacrificing the whole piece. H5, of course H5, why not take the piece. If bishop f5, black can just move the rook. There is no mate, king has escape square. So white played bishop g5. I was watching the game live. Initially, to be honest, I initially thought there was some error with the DGT board, with the live transmission. I was like, what? I mean, what is happening? Why there is no white sacrificed a rook right now? White is a whole rook down, and I don't see a way for white to give even a check. If you just see here, first he sacrificed the exchange, knight g5 here, and it's been nearly 3 to 4 moves where white sacrificed some material, and there is not even a single check in the position. White did not give even a single check, and right now he's a full rook down. And that too he was playing against SP Sethuraman, who is also known for not only known for opening knowledge, but he is also known for attacking chess, dynamic chess. So black plays queen e5, trying to bring the king, try to bring the queen near near his own king, so that black king will be even more safe. And white played g4. Actually, I wanted to ask Ratnakar what exactly he missed or what exactly he saw. I hope to have him on live stream soon. I'll definitely ask such questions to him. So I think white missed something. Either he overestimated his attacking chances, or probably he missed something. I don't know. I'll ask him soon. So, but doesn't matter. I think he also realized that he missed something, but for him it does not matter. This one thing which I admire the most at Ratnakaran, irrespective of the position, winning, losing, or drawing, irrespective of the position, irrespective of the material count, Ratnakaran is always he always sits very confident, and his reaction will always be the same. He doesn't change anything. Like I think he can be a good poker player. I feel like he doesn't give any expressions. He just sits calm and very confident. So it's difficult to know if Ratnakaran is gambling or he's really calculating and sacrificing. So, but doesn't and actually many players, actually including me, will most likely be upset because we sacrifice a rook for nothing. There is no check at the site. Nothing is there. So it's very logical to get upset when something goes wrong, and especially it's a huge. There's a huge stake. Winner of the game will go to national A, will qualify for national A, one of the top events in India. But does not matter for Ratnakaran. He plays okay. I'm a rook down, so what? I'll keep going with the flow. It doesn't matter. I'll just keep attacking. So he plays g4, rook d8, gf5. So it is not even the bishop which is capturing the pawn. He plays gf5. He is further blocking the diagonal. There is no check at side anyway. So black plays king of 8 logically, moving the king away from any annoying checks. And now white plays king h1. He's trying to bring one more forces to the king, to the attack. So black plays knight c4. Probably is trying to bring the black wanted to bring the knight to the game. So rook g1. White is playing logically. Black played Sethuraman played knight d2. He's also bringing the piece to the game. And probably you guys can also try to think. I'll give you 5 chances. Can you guess how white would have continued the game? You can just pause the video and try to guess white's moves. I can even give 10 choices. It's how white would have continued. Okay, so white played f3. It's hard to believe, right? You are a full rook down. You despite sacrificing material, which was 5 moves ago, you could not even give one check. You did not give any one check also. What you're doing is you brought all the piece to the game, and now you're calmly playing f3. This is the kind of thing which I also like the most in Ratnakaran's games. He sacrificed material, but not always you get something in return immediately. He once in a while plays such moves, and he's like, okay, I'm a piece down, but show me what you got. This kind of attitude is very nice. White is a full rook down. Basically, the point of f3 is to defend against any annoying checks. Not defend, just like prophylaxis. There is no check on a8 h1 diagonal. So I plays f3, and black played rook d6. So till now, Sethuraman have been playing the most logical sequences ever since white's miniature or adventurous short rook trip. But now Sethu slightly went wrong with rook d6, and Ratnakaran rightly seized his chances, his opportunity, and he played queen g4. And now the threat is bishop f4. Everything is under attack. Queen, once bishop comes to f4, g7 bishop is also under some sort of pressure, and it's also a pin, yeah. E5, d6, major pieces are on the same diagonal, and d2 knight is also always under consistent pressure. So black played king e8. I think by this time, if I'm not wrong, I think Sethuraman already came into time trouble. So bishop f4, queen d5, take, and here. And if you see, now white, who was a full rook down, now he got his material back, and he's even 2 pawns up. It's equal pieces, as you can see, and white is up by 2 pawns. King d7. Okay, so the game does not matter as much. White won the game quite convincingly, and black resigns here. It's of course, yeah, it's very depressing to lose in such a way. Okay. In this game, knight is pinned, and h1 is queening, so you cannot stop. I mean, king c5 can play h5, h6, and so on. Rook cannot really come here. It's actually depressing to lose like this, that in a very, very important game, the qualifier for the national A. Basically, black was winning for a long time, but in the end, it was Ratnakaran's tenacity to play fast and try to complicate, try to imbalance, which made him to win the game, that too in a crucial encounter. So if you come back, everything started from this calm position. From this position, in 3 moves, everything changed. So he wanted to take f5. There was the pawn here, so just made a short road trip. He took, And sometimes whenever now I recollect or recall, whenever I see these kinds of games, uh, Leela Zero or Alpha Zero's games, even if you see the trending engines, popular of late, no, Alpha Zero, Leela Zero, all these things, Fat Fritz, anything, these kinds of engines try to play like this, and they play such kinds of chess only actually. But Ratnagaran has played even before the uh, evolvement of these engines. Even before these engines were found, he was into full initiative chess. So for Ratnakaran, more than initiative, sorry, for more than material, initiative is what matters the most. So I would like to show one uh, last game where I played against Ratnakaran. I was black in this game. So this game was played in 2011 in Vizag GM Open. If I'm not wrong, this was a double round day. So I mean, in one day, two rounds. This game was in the afternoon, I think, and I think I finished the morning game a bit late, and I had only 1 hour to prepare for against Ratnakaran. So generally, I have a, a wide opening reporter, so I could not. I don't. I did not want to check with the computer because I know Ratnakar in and out. I know how he plays. I know what he plays. Everything I know because he has always been my idol since my childhood. I have always grown up by looking at his chess, looking at his great achievements, the way he plays. So he has always been my idol. So I know how he plays. So I was black here. I know Ratnakaran plays e4. So I was trying to think out about my playing options. So at those days, I was also playing Sicilian. So Sicilian is natural ruled out because I'm playing Ratnakaran. He'll anyway sacrifice something somewhere. So why should I play Sicilian and invite more sacrifice? So Sicilian was ruled out. Then I was thinking normal like e4, e5, and f3, and c6. Even there he plays bishop c4, and somehow he plays c3, d3, h3, g4. All these things came to my mind. I was like, why do you even allow that? And I was thinking French, Caracon, nothing kind of satisfied me. Then I was like, okay, chalo, let's play Petrov. Petrov is a solid option, and I did not know much theory in Petrov, but thanks to my habit of watching all the games or most of the games live, I kind of remember the trend in any opening I play, who played what, and I kind of know the middle game ideas, which piece goes where, all this stuff. Mainly because I follow most of the games live. So I was like, okay, let me play Petrov. Though I don't have any proper opening preparation, I was like, okay, I'll somehow manage. All I need to do is just I need to exchange White's queen. If I exchange Ratnakaran's queen, that itself a big achievement for me. That was my mindset before the game. So I played Petrov. I wanted to exchange his queens as soon as possible. So I played Petrov and trying to cut off his dynamic possibilities. But even there, I had a surprise in my store. So 95 d6 nf3 94. He played knight c3. I took. Uh, I played bishop e7. Just normal developing things. I just tried to play logically. So he also developed his bishop. So I played knight c6. And now he played bd3, which kind of surprised me. I was like, what is bd3? I did not understand. Generally, they play bishop b5 or queen d2 long castle. But he played bd3. I was like, okay. I also played bishop g4 because I did not want to commit my king to king side or queen side. I wanted to see where he places his king. Then I thought I'll also place my king in the same thing. If he long castles, I'll also long castle. If he does short, I'll also do short castle. This is what mindset I had at that time in 2011 when playing against Ratnakaran. So I played bishop g4. I'm also waiting. He plays h3, and I played bishop h5. And I was expecting him to go g4, bishop g6. I thought, okay, since I don't think white can castle short now because he has weakened, so he will go long castle. Okay, I was like, okay, I can also go long castle. I can play h5 or take these things, and I thought I can slowly outplay him in queenless middle game or normal middle game. This is what I was thinking. And now he played bishop b5. This move kind of surprised me. I was like, what? What is this move? Never came into my mind. It's like whenever I play Ratnakaran, I most of the times I fail to guess his moves. I'm like b5. You just developed the bishop two moves ago. Like bishop f1 came to d3, and once my bishop went there, he plays bb5. He is developing the same piece twice. I did not understand anything. So I was like, what is this? I was thinking for 15 minutes how to respond, and I played a6. So when I played a6 and when I was writing the score sheet a6, suddenly some noise came. Like he made his move and he pressed the clock. So I thought he's going to take bishop c6, bc6, and so on. So I just had the score sheet like a6, and I did not see the move. I just know that when I was writing score sheet, he made the move so instantly. I thought, okay, maybe he took bishop c6, and I was about to write bishop in my score sheet. And when I saw he played queen d5, I was like, Ayo, I did not expect this queen d5. I mean, it's a very strong move. I mean, it's a very good move actually. Queen d5. I mean, if a b5, he will just play queen h5, and this b5 pawn is falling almost by force. Even if it does not fall, the pawn looks too weak on the b5. And the thing is, he's attacking my h5 bishop. He's also trying to take the pawn. So I was thinking bishop g6 for some time. He will take. I take here. Of course, not queen d7 because rook is hanging, king of 8. And I was thinking if I can play this position, but of course it's nothing, right? I mean, just for namesake, I have double bishop, but my king is too bad, and I should play h6, king g8, king h7 to give life. But when I play h6, I know he'll play h4, g4. I was like, why? Why should I allow all this against Ratnakaran? So queen d5 actually surprised me a lot, and with the way he's played, it was very fast and very instantaneous. And that's also one thing I learned about Ratnakaran playing the game actually is normally he doesn't get up. Even if his opponent thinks for half an hour, he doesn't get up. He just sits, he is fully focused and very determined how to create imbalance in the position. So when I was thinking for 15 minutes or 20 minutes to play a6, he was sitting there and he was also thinking. So, and when he played queen d5, I was like, okay, my opening plan failed. I tried to play better off just to play calm or positional chess. This Ratnakaran, even in Ratnakaran Anna, even in positional position, he tries to create something. I was like, okay, fine. I played like this. He took, and if you see, black structure is very ruined. Whenever I play d5, then the everything is weak. The diagonal is very weak for black. And I played queen d7, and okay. And somehow I managed to draw the game. In this position, actually, it is white who is better. If he tried to play some positional chess like this, white is clearly better. But Ratnakaran, true to his usual self, he tried to create some counterplay by playing such things. And I tried to counterplay on queen side, and somehow in the end I was winning, and I just messed up. I did not have much time. I was playing very fast. And then I messed up in mutual time trouble. In my time trouble, it was not mutual. In my time trouble, I messed up. So, if you want, you can also check up the game in database. I was black in 2011 in Vizag GM Open. Yeah, so this move had a strong, deep impact in me. The way he played, immediately he plays queen d5, had a very deep impact. I'm like, wow. So I learned that it does not matter what openings we play. What matters is the style which we play, middle game style. It does not matter if you are dynamic or positional. In any positions, you can always, in any openings, you can always stick to your style and bring the position that you would like to play. So Ratnakaran, irrespective of the position, he always tries to create imbalance. This is the thing which I have always admired the most in him. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, there are many games. These are the games which I was impressed when I was watching the games live. There are hundreds and hundreds of games of Ratnakaran's such chess. So I just wanted to show some of the games. Uh, I'm hopeful that I will have him in one of my live streams, and I can discuss more about him and his chess and his games. And if I'm given a chance to play 100 bullet games or 200 bullet games, I will definitely prefer Ratnakaran because I like to play chess against him. In any position, he always plays such dynamic and aggressive chess. So I would love to play some lots and lots of blitz or bullet games. Not online. I would prefer over the board. As many games as possible with him, and he's also a very very nice person. So hopefully I will have him live stream. Then we shall discuss further. And thank you for watching.